Hello, everyone, and welcome back. And joining us today, we have the head coach of the Cal State Dominguez Hills women's basketball team, Coach John Bonner. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Danny. I appreciate it.
Well, let's talk. We just want to learn a little bit about the Toros and get a little bit of your insight into your team. I'm going to mention just one thing really quickly. I'm sure this isn't exactly your first thing, but you are 4-0 this year. Started off 4 games under your belt. Haven't played a conference game yet, and also helping out the CCAA conference a lot by going 3-0 against the Pac West. Just talk to me a little bit about the early part of the season, maybe what you've learned about your team so far this year.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great start, and it's something that we really want to work towards, to be able to start fast and to not have to come from behind and try to get some wins in order to just kind of push our season forward. And so I think in the midst of this, what I found is that, our returners from last season, because we've returned a lot, they just have a different mindset. We finished 4th in conference last year. They took all those learning experiences and they kind of put that into their work ethic over the summer. And when they started the year this year, it was just a completely different team. It was almost if we had been together for 3 years. So I think the thing that I've learned is that, they really care about being good on the court. They still are doing all the work outside of that, but on the court, they're just committing to all the details that matter, just doing that a little bit of extra all the time. And so I think that's kind of been fun because they show up every day ready to compete, but they're really focused on, just doing the small things, rebounding in every drill, or making sure that we communicate during every drill. And then just a little self-accountability within our own team. And so that's been really fun to see, especially this early in the season.
Well, you talked about competing, and I'm sure for any coach, what you have going right now with the stats is as much as anybody can hope for. You're leading the conference in offense and defense. And like you talked about that effort, just what is helping drive your team to make that effort on both sides of the court? And as you talk about, you're not playing from behind in any fact if you're able to play so well on both sides.
Yeah, you know what? We try to put a heavy emphasis on our defense. I think that's the thing that we need to have in place in order for us to be successful. And with that, we've had to learn how to play against a really tough defense in practice. And I think how that's translated into games is just we don't take a lot of bad shots. We're trying to do the best we can to limit turnovers, although that's still pretty high for us. But we shoot a pretty good percentage just because people don't get outside of themselves. They sort of try to take the shots that they're able to make. But I think what kind of lends it all is just every day, some of our top players set the tone for us. If they're on separate teams, they want to compete, kind of initiate that in a fun way. But then that in having that fun, we're a real competitive group. We want to try to win some things. So we always try to make as much as we can competitive, whether it's the team versus the scoreboard, whether it's team versus team, whether we break it up into a few groups. We try to make as much as we can competitive, and we'll have something small, maybe some push-ups, maybe up and back, kind of if you don't win that, but it just inspires them to want to compete. And then it also gives, we mix up our teams all the time. And so it allows other people every day to take an opportunity to kind of step up. And so what that does is it kind of propels our team to not be in a position where everyone feels like, hey, I'm the 16th man. It's no, every day there's an opportunity to kind of grow and play. And we base everything that we do on being earned. And so I think our players have taken hold to that, and you kind of see that in their performance.
Wow. Great. Well, I know you talked about wanting to cut down on those turnovers, but that was one of the other numbers I had written down on my thing. You guys are actually leading the conference with +9 turnover margin. So I understand that's the true coach mentality. They always have a way to get a little bit better on that one. So I respect that.
There's some teams that they're doing a little bit better than us, just in regards to the one category, but the margin is definitely there. Again, that's from our defense, so we're able to create a lot of opportunities for ourselves.
Well, thank you. That's good. So you maybe touched on some of these things. So if I'm making you repeat yourself, forgive me. But we can go through the numbers. We can look at those other ones. Anybody can look at the stat sheets. But tell me something that you wouldn't be able to see from a box score or a stat sheet that is a strength of this team.
Yeah, I think it's our camaraderie is something that you won't be able to kind of see. This is a group that likes to spend time with each other. It's probably a team, I've coached a lot of teams here, and this team is really close. They have each other's back. And you can tell that on the court, because the time that they spend off the court, they're building that relationship. So when it comes to being on the court and they're trying to hold each other accountable, they understand that it's not malice, it's just a push to be greater. And they have a lot of very honest conversations with each other about, hey, where are we as a team? We kind of open the floor up as coaches for them to be able to talk to us too and give us some feedback if there's something that's off. And we try to empower them as much as possible. But what sets the tone for that is the time that they spend off the court with one another, developing that relationship. So in between the lines, they know that, hey, this is just the basketball part of our relationship. And if we want to be great, we got to be allowed to push ourselves there. But they talk a lot about having honest conversations off the court. And a lot of that is just player led. As coaches, we do some team bonding activities, of course, just like any other program, but they've kind of taken upon themselves to find opportunities to grow together as a team and set a standard with one another. And they carry that onto the court every day. So the camaraderie is something that you can only feel if you're in it, but you wouldn't be able to see from the numbers of how close this team is.
Great. You also mentioned, like you said, your team wants to be great. It wants to get better every time. So let's say you continue to take those steps. In mid-February, somebody from the GNAC is scouting you. What do you want them to say the identity of the Toros is?
Yeah, I think it's just they're going to be tough. They're going to be gritty. They rebound the hell out of the ball, and they're going to defend. I think, with any teams that I coach, we're going to have multiple options for us to score the basketball. That's been a given since I've been here. But I think on the scouting report, the things you have to see is, man, we have to deal with a lot of speed, a lot of aggressiveness, of the rebounding and the defense, and we have to figure out ways to score against them. And I think that's what's going to define our team. If we can defend and rebound at a high level, I think that can kind of carry us. But I think those are the things that I hope they look for, and just understand that they're really tough, both mentally and physically. And I think that's the identity that we're trying to build here.
Good. So obviously you guys had a chance to come together in September, conditioning, things like that. Probably started your first practice October 15th. And I know for you as a coach, you continually want to get better throughout the year. You want to be better than you were on November 11th. But I want to ask you, what can the Toros do to be a better team on March 1st than they are on December 1st?
You know what? I think it's just going to come down to staying together. In the midst of success for any team, there comes just a lot of external factors, right? Whether that's best friend, a parent, you see a write-up and you kind of start to desire that. Or, if we're winning, then everyone feels like, well, I want to be a part of that even more, and so maybe they try to get outside of themselves. So I think what's going to help us be better is continue to have a commitment to the small things, which is a trend that we've set already. Rebounding, 50-50 balls, communication, like all of those things matter, like focusing on those details. But I think as the year goes, it's just continuing to find ways to stay together as a unit and understand that, there's sacrifice, but it's all for the greater good. And I think if we can do that, we can find success. I think if we kind of end up where we start to seek out individual paths, then those things can kind of be an obstacle or a barrier to continue success. But I hope that our opportunities to get better is by still maintaining our ability to focus on the small things.
Good. So we talked about practice starting on October 15th. You guys have about 3 to 4 weeks together before your first game.
Yeah.
And now you've been in the season for about 3 weeks as well. What has been something that surprised you once you guys started regular season play that you maybe didn't see in the practices?
Yeah, I think it's just the willingness to continue to play together. I thought coming into this year, we did bring in some new players and we had a good amount of returns, but they were all young. And so I didn't really know what to expect coming in, because now we have players who are freshmen and sophomore on the court who are going to be trying to lead us and lead the standard, of our day-to-day. And I'm also bringing in juniors and seniors who are transfers from, Division I and from junior college. And so I wasn't really sure how that meshing was going to happen. I think that was the biggest concern from my staff, where, when coaches asked me, hey, what do you think about your team? It was how well we come together. And so I've been surprised about how fast that has taken place. And then with that, I think the commitment on the defensive end, early on this season for each of our games so far, that's been incredible. I recruit a lot of people who can score the basketball. That's kind of what I look for. But their willingness right now to just show up every day and want to defend and want to rebound and want to compete. I think that's probably been the biggest surprise for us. I thought we'd eventually get there. I just didn't know it would be this fast, considering we're still a fairly young team. I mean, we're only going to graduate 3 kids after this year. And so to kind of have that is great.
That's great information. All right. Final question I got for you. I don't know what you guys laid out before the year, and not trying to invade the locker room space or anything too much, but tell me what you're willing to share. What have been some goals that either you or your team have set out for the Toros this year?
Yeah, I mean, clearly our team wants to win a championship. They want to hang a banner, and that's something that they're committed to. So in order to get there, what we all agreed to was that we're going to take everything day by day, one game at a time, one possession at a time. And I think that's been the focus for our team. We try to show up every day with just a new mindset to go and compete. We try to remember yesterday and hold on to that as a learning experience, but we try to approach each day as brand new and try to put our best foot forward. And so clearly our goal right now is like, if we can commit to the principles of defending and rebounding and kind of doing all of those hustle and energy plays, that we believe success can come from that. And so that's our goal right now, is to make sure that we can consistently do that. I mean, it's been really early in the season. As we know, conference is the CCAA is a whole different animal. And so we hope that we have some continued success. And I think we can do that if we follow our path of making sure that we defend and rebound. That's kind of our standard this year. And our hashtag was prove it. And that's something that we need to do for ourselves and to anyone else. It's a great start, but we've accomplished nothing, now so far. It's just a positive start. We're just ready to kind of get in the conference and see if we can maintain the consistency that we've had so far.
Well, fantastic. You led me right into my close part right there. So you have an opportunity this weekend to host Humboldt and then Sonoma State. I know coaches never look ahead, but so you get a chance to jump into conference play this week. And basically, whole second season starts from there. The non-conference games. It's great to have the 4-0 on the record, but I'm sure you guys have this one circled from the very beginning of the year as the first conference game.
Well, absolutely. We're ready to go and get started in conference. And, we were delayed one weekend, but now it's here and we're excited about that.
Fantastic. Well, Coach, just thank you very much for taking a couple minutes to talk to me. Let the fans and everyone else hear a little insight into the Toros from the coach's own words. So thank you for your time. Good luck this season. I hope we have another chance to talk before the conference tournament in March.
All right. Sounds good, Danny. Take care.
See you, Coach. Bye.
All right.